This week, Ukraine witnessed a purge. There was a wave of resignations. As many as 15 top officials left their posts. They were either dismissed or they resigned. The purge came as a shock to the world. You see, Ukraine is in the middle of a war. The last thing Zelensky needs is a shake-up in the rank. But it seems the Ukrainian president did not have a choice. Some really big names are on this list. A deputy head in Zelensky's office, Ukraine's deputy defense minister responsible for overseeing supplies and food for troops, a deputy prosecutor general, and the governors of 5 frontline provinces, Dnipro, Kherson, Kiev, Zaporizhia, and Sumy. These are all high-profile names. They had direct access to the top rungs of power, and their exit spells embarrassment for Zelensky. He had some explaining to do, especially to his Western allies who are backing him.
Зараз, до речі, багато говорять про танки.
Today, the public has seen yet another set of decisions on personnel that have been made. I emphasize the phrase, yet another. We will continue to take appropriate steps. The public will see each of them, and I'm sure will support them. Any internal issues that hinder the state are being removed and will continue to be removed. It is fair, it is necessary for our defense, and it helps our reapproachment with the European institutions. We need a strong state, and Ukraine will be just that.
Потрібно завершувати рішеннями.
Zelensky is clearly trying to play down the revelations. He says the system is being cleaned up. But the question is, why now? Why did he not do this cleanup earlier? After all, these corruption allegations and charges have been around for a while. They were not uncovered by some government watchdog. They were brought to light by Ukrainian journalists and anti-corruption campaigners. Take the case of this man, Tymoshenko. He worked in Zelensky's office. Last year, he was seen driving around in an expensive SUV. 2 months later, another report came out. Also more embarrassing pictures. This is Tymoshenko driving around in a Porsche Taycan. It's a $100,000 car, 100,000 US dollars. This is a man who worked in the president's office. He got a government salary and was living a life of luxury at a time when Russian forces were bombing his country. Why did Zelensky not act earlier? It's not clear, but now his allies are asking for accountability.
We're actively engaged with the government of Ukraine to ensure accountability. There are challenges associated with the current environment in which our Ukrainian partners are in the midst of a brutal attack by the Russian Federation, but we take this commitment seriously nonetheless, and we're still able to take steps to ensure that accountability.
There are challenges. That's a rare confession from the US. Washington should look at these claims more closely. Let me show you another report. It's about food supplies for Ukrainian soldiers. Turns out the Defense Ministry is buying them at an inflated price. This came out this week. It compared the procurement cost with food prices in grocery stores. Do you know how much more Kiev is paying? At least 2 to 3 times more. Again, where is the accountability? When Ukraine was invaded, the world rushed all kinds of assistance to them. Lethal weapons, ammunition, wartime supplies, humanitarian aid, even financial aid. At least 40 countries, 40, stepped up to help. How much has Ukraine received so far? It's difficult to come up with a number, considering the sheer scale of this effort, but here's an estimate. $100 billion. That's how much the world has poured into Ukraine in less than a year, $100 billion. Now they want to know, where is this money going? And it's worth considering the past. Ukraine has struggled to root out high-level corruption. Transparency International has a corruption perception index. It ranks countries on the scale of the least to the most corrupt. There are 180 countries on this list. Do you know where Ukraine stands? At 122. It makes Ukraine the most corrupt country, the second most corrupt country in Europe. Now, if you're wondering what India's rank is, it's 85, long way to go there too. But coming back to Ukraine, here's another estimate, and this is from last year. It says Ukraine loses $37 billion every year to corruption. So the red flags have always been there, and I'm not saying that the world should stop giving aid to Ukraine. All I'm saying is that we need better checks and balances. After all, this aid is coming out of a taxpayer's pocket. Ukraine's response to graft charges still leaves a lot to be desired.